A single mother giving a thirsty biker a bottle of water seemed like the smallest act of kindness, until the next morning, when she woke up to find her entire street blocked by over 100 roaring motorcycles. What began as a simple encounter between strangers turned into something so extraordinary that it restored faith in humanity, and proved that angels sometimes wear leather jackets. But why would an entire motorcycle club mobilize for just one woman? And what did they do that left the whole neighborhood in tears? The late afternoon sun hung heavy over Oakwood Drive, casting long shadows across cracked sidewalks where dandelions pushed through the concrete like stubborn hope. Sarah Martinez stood at her kitchen window, watching drops of condensation slide down a glass of ice water while the ancient air conditioner rattled with its familiar death rattle, a sound she had come to associate with the growing stack of unpaid bills hidden beneath coffee-stained coasters on the dining table. The mortgage notice, now 3 weeks overdue, seemed to take on a dark life of its own behind the refrigerator magnet holding Emma's cheerful sunflower. She had made it in second grade, back when David was still alive, and their biggest worry was whether to plant tomatoes or peppers in the small backyard garden. "Mama, can we have mac and cheese again tonight?" Emma called from the living room. She sat cross-legged on the thinning carpet, coloring in a book whose pages had been erased so many times the paper felt like fabric. Sarah closed her eyes and breathed in the familiar scent of their home, a mixture of discount vanilla candles, the lingering aroma of morning coffee, and that special smell of a house where love was abundant but money was not. The mechanical thunder began so low it felt like a vibration in her bones. Then it grew louder until the window frames rattled and Emma's crayons rolled across the coffee table. Through the curtains, Sarah saw neighbors stepping onto their porches, shading their eyes against the sun to see what was coming. The Harley-Davidson that finally appeared looked like a massive metal beast. Its polished exhaust pipes gleamed like silver snakes, and the engine growled deeply. The rider dismounted with the careful precision of someone whose body knew decades of road miles. His worn vest was covered in patches that told stories of brotherhood, loyalty, and a life on society's margins. Steam rose from the engine. The man pulled out his phone, shook his head in frustration, and looked down the street as if searching for divine help, or at least a gas station. Something in his posture reminded Sarah of David during the last months of his illness. The slight slump of his shoulders, the exhaustion mixed with determination to keep going. "Stay here, baby," she told Emma, who already had her nose pressed curiously against the window. The plastic bottle felt cool and solid in Sarah's hands as she filled it at the tap. Barefoot, she walked across the creaking wooden floor she had memorized during 3 years of sleepless nights. The summer heat hit her like opening an oven door. "You look like you could use this," she said, handing the bottle to the man. His hands were scarred and rough, but gentle as he accepted it. In that moment, stranger to stranger, human to human, something invisible shifted in the balance of the world. "Marcus," he introduced himself, with an old-fashioned courtesy that didn't match his intimidating appearance. "That's real kind of you, ma'am. Especially today." As he drank, steam continued rising from the engine, forming a halo around him. Sarah noticed details, the laugh lines around his eyes, the small silver cross hanging from his necklace. Emma crept closer, half hiding behind her mother. Marcus knelt down to her level. "Well, hello there, young lady. What's your name?" His voice softened, the way it does when speaking to children or injured animals. The conversation felt like the pages of a book writing themselves. Marcus spoke of his grown daughter, and Sarah talked about life after David's death. "Single parenting ain't easy," Marcus said, glancing at the house, the peeling paint, the sagging steps, the overgrown garden. But there was no pity in his expression, only understanding. When he poured the remaining water over the engine, steam hissed between them. Then he pulled a $20 bill from his wallet and pressed it into Emma's small hand. "For being such a good helper," he said with a wink. "I can't accept this," Sarah began. But Marcus was already back on his bike. "Sometimes we all need a little help," he called over the engine. "And sometimes we get to be the ones doing the helping." The next morning, Sarah woke to the roar of many engines. When she looked out the window, she thought she was dreaming. Headlights filled the street. Dozens of motorcycles, maybe more. She stepped onto the porch in her robe just as the first bike rolled into the driveway. Then another. And another. Soon everything was filled with leather jackets, tools, and trailers. Marcus appeared among them, smiling. "Morning, ma'am. We figured we'd start early before it gets too hot." Within hours, her house was transformed. The steps were repaired, the roof fixed, and the walls painted a warm yellow that Emma called sunshine color. Neighbors brought lemonade, helped with planting, and the whole street filled with laughter, hammering, and friendly conversation. By the end of the day, Sarah stood in her newly restored garden. Her house looked brand new, and inside an envelope was money for Emma's college fund, donated by the bikers. "Why?" she asked softly. Marcus answered thoughtfully. 23 years ago, the same thing happened to me. My bike broke down, phone dead. A widow gave me water and let me use her phone. Wouldn't take a cent. A week later, she got evicted. Probably needed that money herself, but she helped anyway. The goodbyes took a long time. Each biker spent a moment with Emma and Sarah. When the last engine faded away, Sarah asked, "What did you whisper to him?" Emma smiled. "I told him he's not scary anymore. And that he can come to dinner anytime. We always have enough mac and cheese to share." Later in bed, Emma asked, "Mama, do you think the nice scary people will remember us?" Sarah brushed her hair back. "Some people are impossible to forget. And today we learned that angels sometimes wear patches and ride machines that sound like thunder. And that one bottle of water can change everything, if you give it to the right person at exactly the right moment."